Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Solutions Brewing Podcast. We're doing a nice live show today on the back of Rob's deck. And joined by both Rob and Brendan.
Yeah, it's a good thing we're joined by Rob here on Rob's deck.
Yeah. No, it'd be kind of weird if we showed up on Rob's deck and Rob wasn't here. Just
wouldn't stop us. We're just
That'd be pretty funny, actually. Like, hey, Rob, we recorded this on your back deck. You'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
It was weird. You were inside playing computer the whole time. Didn't even know.
Playing Diablo or something, yeah.
But yeah, and what we're talking about today is to supplant Brendan's eventual talking about his grandfather experiment, is something that would make his grandfather experiment completely irrelevant.
Yeah, we're turning this into a running joke now.
Yes. Let's see how
Brendan
long we
keeps
can
wanting to
actually
talk
do.
about we going, no!
Well, he might get to. I don't know if there's enough legs in this
Eventually
topic
you might
to get.
run out of things, but
to get there. But yeah, so it was an interesting article that I read earlier today, and it was that it was actually a major yeast supplier. It's growing in popularity and all this kind of stuff. It's actually out of White Labs. They actually have some strains of non-alcoholic yeast.
See, now that is interesting, because I was always under the impression that all yeast produces alcohol.
No, and that's the primary thing is that some yeasts, because it's various fungi and organisms that produce consume sugars and produce byproduct, which is alcohol. They've actually produced some strains that don't produce alcohol. They produce other compounds, so like other sugars or other phenols and other stuff. And the interesting thing is it's another way to basically get to non-alcohol without going the traditional route.
Right.
Through the high mash, low mash, reverse osmosis.
Or even just trying to de-alkalize it. Like
the boil or whatever and all that. So so I was reading up on it, and it's interesting because it's still in its like very early stages. Like it's been around for a couple years, almost a decade or something like that, but it's very, very niche. Because the main problem with it is you get a product with alcohol, but it still has all the sugars of the alcohol of the beer in it. Mm-hmm. So as a result, contamination becomes a major, major problem.
Right, because there's still yummy stuff that other things like to eat.
Yes. Yeah. So if you don't have a system that is like completely sealed, or if you like miss a cleaning step or something like that, because there's no alcohol inhibition or anything along the lines of that, you can get an infected batch very, very easily. Mm-hmm. So actually what they recommend, which is what something you don't see a lot in craft brewing, is pasteurizing your beer.
You don't see craft beers doing that.
Yeah, you don't see a lot. Commercial beers do it for sure, but a lot of craft breweries don't do it because it's more of a keeps it fresh and they really
helps it last longer, so that it doesn't.
Yeah.
If those yeast are dead, then they can't reactivate, right?
So. Exactly. So in looking up on it, like there's and then the other subsequent part of that too is your recipes have to change a lot, because if you're not consuming those sugars to become alcohol, you have a lot more of a sweet beer than you'd meant to. So you have to start balancing out all of that extra sugar by maybe having a less aggressive
to try
grain
to figure
profile.
out how to use like less grain somehow, or
exactly.
Yeah, because you don't want to just increase the hop, because then you'll just get like something super sweet and bitter.
sweet and bitter, and be like, this is terrible.
That'd be very weird. Yeah. Yeah, you just have to refigure out your ratios. That's stuff that we've been playing around with anyways for non-alcoholic stuff I've been doing here. I've been trying to figure that out too. And you always start with, well, let's see if we just take the normal recipe and don't ferment it.
Yeah.
And it's very sweet, like very sugary. And I know Brendan's been playing around with some different low ABV recipes too, and he gets kind of the similar thing. Is trying to balance that sweetness.
Yeah. It's a weird balance, because again, if you don't want to extract as much sugar. So the process that I'm doing, cold mashing or very hot mashing, is trying to reduce the amount of fermentable sugar that you're actually pulling out of the grain, which means I'm spending way too much on grain going into it.
Yeah.
But trying to balance that by with reduced hop. We'll see what happens with this one I'm doing now that I'm not allowed to talk about. But I'm looking up this non-alcoholic yeast, and it's how do they refer to it here? It is a strain that we isolated, yada yada. A maltose negative yeast does not ferment most of the sugars in the wort. No phenols, no non-diacetylic, so no diactyl.
Yeah, no diactyl after product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
very, and this is from Escarpment Labs, so it's not just like a small thing. It's
Oh, yours said from Escarpment. You said from
White Labs. Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me. Those are probably the two biggest yeast manufacturers in terms of beer yeast manufacturing. But yeah.
so it makes sense that they both have the
Similar
same product,
products.
but it's kind of a cool idea. And reading through it, they're like, okay, now you got to make sure that you don't do this and don't do this. And they're like, and for the love of God, don't add fruit until after all your fermentation is done and the beer is cold.
Yeah.
That will take off, and there's enough natural yeast in there that'll just basically everything they say is if you do this, your alcohol will be higher. If you do this, your alcohol will be higher.
Right.
Yeah, because it's basically a game at that point of just ensuring that you don't have anything else play with the beer. Like, it's like, I want this yeast to play with it, and that's it. Like, nothing else.
Right.
No magic brew stick or anything
The
like that.
Escarpment ones, does that actually say non-alcoholic
Yep.
yeast? Huh.
NAY they call it. But it's interesting because I'm reading through it now. Okay, how to use it, how to have success, and they actually recommend a hot mash and basically no base malt. Use malts that will only add body to the beer.
Oh, okay.
So
No base malt.
So you're
well,
looking
it
at,
doesn't say no base malt, but very limited base malt. So you're not trying to pull a lot of sugar because this yeast isn't going to attenuate any of that sugar, right?
That's yeah. So,
So
yeah.
it's part of getting
like,
this
save yourself
balance
the
here.
trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, and so you don't end up with just a sugar water, hoppy sugar water. So
I'll have to do a homebrew and try that one out.
we'll have to. I don't know if you can buy this very easily yet. It's on their website. They said apply to buy.
Yeah, same on the White Labs one. It was they only sold it in like 500-gram pouches, and that was it. And it was by request. Like, it wasn't go contact your local brewer or brew supply shop or anything like that. And yeah, I wouldn't be like, you wouldn't see that filter down to like the hobby shops or anything like anytime soon.
Okay.
Well,
I mean,
I threw our email onto this.
oh, did you?
Because they said
Perfect. Why
you have to provide an email in order to download this. So I was like, all right, well, I know a good email to throw on there that I don't look at that often. So, no, I threw it on there so maybe they'll, and I noted that we're pros, so maybe they'll reach out to us, or there'll be some easier path for us to try some of this, because it'd be interesting to try. It's something that's definitely lacking in
Even
the
if
market.
it's a 500-gram little packet, so
Yeah,
that
exactly.
we can get
It's-
one and we can try a bunch of different stuff that gives us opportunity.
Because
to try.
again, like a standard packet of yeast, like for a 20 liter batch is only 11 grams. So like for our system, it's 25 grams, I think, or 30 grams for yeast for us. So
yeah, I usually
per
use
batch.
I've been using 2 packets on the last one.
Yeah, so that's 22, 23 grams.
It'd be an interesting thing to try to propagate on your own, since it doesn't need sugar.
It says it basically says don't. Yeah. At least the White Labs one did, because of the risk of contamination. So it's basically like, unless you have like a sterile lab and like a chemist, like a literal, like someone who actually knows what they're doing, they're
Proper
like,
practice. Yeah.
yeah, it's like you're probably going to get it infected or something like that. So they said no recovery and no reuse, just to ensure that no other fungi bugs got in there or anything like that. So.
Right.
Oh, this one's also recommending to acidify the wort.
Ooh, acidify the wort as well.
Yeah, to a starting pH of below 4.5. So that's how
that's
they're protected
Ooh,
from contamination.
Yeah.
Because the yeast will survive in that, but other bugs won't.
Huh.
As opposed to, like you said, standard, it's the yeast takes over and creates enough alcohol to
So
keep
we'll have to
everything
get
else
some
out.
phosphoric acid or something then too.
Yeah. Because like you can use a little bit. I don't know if there's anywhere. Well, we could get it from one of the supply stores. You get acidulated malt. You could put like a little bit of that
we'll
in,
do it too. Yeah.
just a little touch. But
Well, since you're not buying base malt, or not a lot of base malt anyway, you can play with all the other stuff to...
Yeah, totally.
huh?
Well, now I kind of want to play with this stuff with my grandfather and my other recipes. and see how everything goes. But it's interesting that they're coming out with this, because there's definitely a gap, and we see it at every beer fest.
Mm-hmm.
you get to the last hour of it, and you have people walking around, and they know they've had a lot.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, especially in the afternoon session, they're like, I've still got another, the rest of the day to go here.
Yeah.
Do you have anything that's non-alcoholic or low alcoholic or?
Pardon me.
Because that could be something that we could do. Like, we could try to, like, maybe have, like, an actual proper, good, non-alcoholic.
What the hell do you think I've been doing for 6 months?
But you're not there yet.
Try harder. No.
We haven't heard the story, so we know you haven't succeeded yet.
Well, no, I haven't succeeded yet. Oh, my God.
I actually have a non-alcoholic one downstairs. It's okay, but it's a weird play of the sweet and
Oh, the sweet and hoppy.
yeah.
But that would be the thing if we could offer at like the next beer fest, like, or I guess Rocky Mountain
Any of them.
Wine Food Fest,
Yeah.
having like a proper.
Nah, Rocky Mountain Wine and Food Fest is not the right one for that.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Beer's not even in the name. They're not.
Yeah,
gonna be
beer's not
interested
even in the name.
non-alcoholic
We
beer,
just
but
got the
any of
notice
beer
for
fest.
the Cochrane one, and
Oh, yeah.
they're actually specifically asking if there are breweries with non-alcoholic stuff because they said there were a lot of people who are specifically asking for non-alcoholic ones. So that would be a good one to demo.
Yeah.
Demo some non-alcoholic ones. I
All right, we got 4 months.
think. Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right,
4 months.
so 2 months to figure this out, 1 month to fail once, and then 1 month.
And 1
to
month
make
to
it.
succeed.
So
Pretty
if there's
much.
anybody from Escarpment Labs or White Labs listening, please send us some of this non-alcoholic yeast, or tell us where we can buy it so that we can start playing with this.
'Cause, yeah, I'd be
It
interested.
makes sense that they started coming out with this, though, or at least it's now in commercial quantities because non-alcoholic category is getting quite big.
Well, and this is an interesting little guide that they had on their website because it also includes they've got a few recipes at the back end here to kind of give you some idea of how to balance it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's smart.
Well, yeah,
You can kind of work from that, right?
Yeah,
Start that, give yourself a baseline, and then play from there.
and you definitely need that kind of guidance to start because otherwise you're just like, all right, if I'm supposed to reduce my base malt, like I'll cut it in half, maybe a third. I'm not too sure. Like, so at least there's something there to at least give you a bit of guidance.
Or treat the base malt like a specialty malt and only
Yeah.
use like a little bit.
Basically, and I think that's kind of what you got to do here.
I think you're basically just using a little bit to like give it like leave a little bit of sweetness because you don't want to like I don't know.
It's still like it still needs a little something there. It just needs a lot less of it. So maybe like a tenth of the base malt, an eighth of the base malt.
Well, it depends. Like this one here uses Munich,
And then even the
which
hop
is kind of
ratio.
a specialty one anyway.
Yeah.
Although you can use it as a base malt. Pilsner, yeah, I think it's just I would not buy any 2-row for this or any pale malt, right? Just because that malt is intentionally just sugar.
Yeah.
It's there's none of those
That's its main
complex longer
purpose,
chain.
yeah.
There's none of those complex longer chain stuff that doesn't really get broken down. That adds body or adds flavor or complexity to it. It's here's sugar. This is how you get 5% alcohol in a lager.
Yeah. 10
Just take this, add some yeast to it,
10 pounds of this makes the world go round.
and then lager it for 6 months or whatever. I don't know. Lagers are still weird.
We can lager now though.
We can.
Yeah.
We shouldn't.
We shouldn't, but
But
we
we
can.
can.
At least our cooler's keeping everything cool out there, so that's good.
It's working exceptionally well. I was tickled by that whole setup though. Just all right. Let's see what's going on. Plug it in. Make sure. Yeah, why is my finger getting hot? Oh, I see how it works now. The heating element tricks the cooler into think. I got it.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
So while we're having this non-alcoholic beer discussion, I'm currently drinking a 9.48 triple IPA. Made by 948 Brewing.
Yeah, I thought it was funny because it was 948 Brewing made a 9.48% beer. So
Yeah, of course they did.
yeah.
It was funny, and then I'm drinking a 4.61, which is literally less than half of what Brendan's drinking. So, yeah, this is from OT Brewing in Calgary. I don't think I've actually ever been to their tap room though.
I've never been to their tap room.
Yeah,
This is an interesting IPA because it is such a high alcohol percentage. And I'm sure they've used a literal ton of hops in it. But it's fairly balanced. There's just a little bit of bitterness that takes over at the end because it's so high alcohol. There's so much of that ethanol sweetness in it too. So it's actually quite good for a 9% beer.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that one was a little bit dangerous just because you can tell it's a little bit higher, but it doesn't feel like.
So it's a danger
It doesn't
beer.
feel like it's 9.5%, right? But yeah.
It kind of reminds me of what was Civic Tavern back in the day.
Oh,
It used to be something else.
Civic used to be
Hop and Brew, I think.
Yeah, Hop and Brew.
And they had a beer on tap that was called Gold something or Dragon something or Gold Dragon something or I don't know. I drank too many of them. I don't remember the name of the beer. But it was 8% or something like that.
Yeah,
And it was
Gold.
their house draft. So it was also their cheapest beer.
House draft for 8%. That's like unheard of.
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, there's a reason why they have new owners.
yes. That and the place used to smell like cat piss.
Oh, there's that too. But after a couple of those Gold Dragon beers, you didn't care.
Well, actually, no. The last time I got drunk on those gold, it's gold. It wasn't Gold Schlager, but it was like a Gold Schlier or Gold something like along the lines of that. I took a shrub home to Kelsey. Yeah, I basically uprooted a shrub along the way home and brought it home to her.
This is my ficus.
So that beer was the first one there's something a little bit high about it, but after that you're just it was balanced enough that you didn't notice. It didn't continue to burn or do anything like that, and then you woke up not remembering as much as you think you should the next day.
Yeah. And then I remember calling my at the time girlfriend's roommate Aaron, good friend of the show, that he was the god of thunder, and then I fell asleep in the closet because Kelsey wouldn't let me come into bed.
She is a wise woman, your wife.
And then I got up in the morning and met her side of the family for the first time, like her extended family for the first time. We'd been dating 7 months at that point, or 6 months at that point. I almost died. like the hangover I had after I had 5 of those beers in a night and just was annihilated. But yeah, I brought home a shrub. Sorry, City of Calgary Parks Department that basically sawed a shrub like a block away from where they planted it. Whoops.
Did you plant it in the new place though? Because
I tried to, but I was.
Ran back and stole the shovel.
No, I tried to put it into another flower pot and it didn't work, so I just gave up.
Oh my gosh.
So there's a pressing need for non-alcoholic beers.
Yes. That was over 10 years ago or something. That was a long time ago.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Sweet.
So now that Brendan mentioned that email address, Rob, what was that email address he submitted to Escarpment Labs?
Well, I'm hoping he used noproblems@solutionsbrewing.com and not some other one. It's his own personal one. So you can reach out to us about that. Actually, curious to know if anyone else has tried making any non-alcoholic, especially if you've done homebrew. What kind of things you've tried to do there? Because we've tried experimenting with that too and haven't really quite nailed it down.
No.
And you can also let us know on our website, solutionsbrewing.com, which is a contact us page there, and just send us a note. And you can also get in touch with us on social media at Solutions Brewing Co., which is good for Instagram and Facebook.
Oh, because it just launched last week, are we going to be on Threads?
No.
Okay. We're not going to be on Twitter 2.0?
No.
Okay.
Twitter 1.0 didn't work out all that well for us.
No, it didn't. No.
And I assume Twitter 2.0 is also going to give us some stupid handle that we can't ever remember in a password.
I'm assuming they use their same one as your Instagram one, but I haven't really looked into it.
The thing is actually linked to your Instagram, and if you delete your Threads, you delete your Instagram as well. They're in they become linked, and you can't separate them again.
Well, then I assume we're already on it, and we just don't know it.
Oh, probably. Rob probably went on trying to post something one time and accidentally said yes, and now we've got a Threads account.
So Mark Zuckerberg, if you're listening, send us an email to noproblems@solutionsbrewing.com, or you can reach out to us through. Well, you already know how to reach out to us through Meta.
Yeah, you've got our information.
But it's at Solutions Brewing Co. for anybody else that wants to. And if you're sending us information about non-alcoholic beers that you made, make sure that they actually have some beer body flavor, because we already did a previous episode where we talked about another guy's experiment making hopped water,
Yeah.
and
Lightly colored.
it wasn't even
Hop
color.
water.
It was clear. Both of those were clear.
Well, one was slightly more yellow than the other.
It was the
They're more like
funniest
a
thing.
seltzer.
Yeah.
It was the funniest comparison between a hot mash and a cold mash that I've ever seen, because there was nothing to extract to start with. It's like you have no grain there. Like, not like, never mind, we don't want any baseball, but you have no complex grains in there either. Anyway, I'll have to look up what that episode number was and edit it into this program so we can reference back
For
the last time when we discussed that experiment.
Oh, that was like back in the 70s or the 80s
I'll
count
find
number.
it, I'm sure, yeah.
Back in the 80s, yeah.
The experiment one.
Yes.
May have called it that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Who knows? But anyways, I think that that's good for an episode. So thank you everyone for joining us this week, and we will talk to you next time.